Listen up, please!
I'm glad you're here.
Mind orgasms and fantasies.
By the way, I want to say something that I absolutely love.
The back of my head may or may not look like a pug.
Somebody's misguided. The younger generation.
If you can wipe your own ass, then the other guy gets shot.
And I don't know that you notice it, but I do.
We found out who we truly are, which is a bunch of assholes.
Most of the time it's because I'm turned away from you.
Why did you buy the vibrating strap-on pillow?
But there's something that I absolutely love.
Oh, I couldn't be happier.
Now, there was a time when we had to hide and we had to be quiet.
Right now, he's wearing a tinfoil hat.
Have you ever heard the term misguided? I've been misguided.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
No, I would not.
I kind of feel like you do.
If you pronounce bagel bagel, I hope your mother gets leukemia. Like,
you know that. You know, I heard
So
a
you
fucked
can
up
deal
story the other day. Actually, it was being told by I don't know, some comedian, but he was explaining how he met the guy who invented
Bagels?
the GIF, and he's like, it's supposed to be pronounced GIF, and then even the Oxford Dictionary was like, no, it's GIF, and he's like, but I
can't
made
argue
it up.
with the creator.
I
Director's
created
cut.
it. He's like, I created it. And they're like, no, it's GIF. He's like, but it's not. I invented it.
They didn't like the cut of his gif.
Yeah.
You can't just change the way something is pronounced because you invented the format. It stands
I agree
for
with
graphics,
that. Same thing with
which
the
is-
McDonald's people. The
Yeah.
McDonald's people don't own McDonald's anymore. Ray Kroc got it. He fucked it all up. Now it's way better, but it's also way worse. But you know,
He was the first person to franchise an actual business, right? If I'm not mistaken.
The Founder
Yeah, but
was
people-
a great movie, by the way.
But people don't call it McDonald's. They call it McDonald's.
No, it was never called. It was called McDonald's. It was two brothers named McDonald that the founder of McDonald's stole it
I
from.
prefer McDowell's. I think
Sued
that's
him
a
for
lot
the
better.
name.
Yeah, I like McDowell's as well.
Yeah. There's a really nice
Welcome to episode
You know what?
46.
It's 9 o'clock, so I guess it doesn't matter. Let's start.
I'm
We've
assuming
been
that-
recording?
yes, we've been recording.
It's 5 o'clock
Yeah.
somewhere.
When have I not ever just started rolling tape?
Jesse, that was probably the most white soccer mom I've ever heard you.
Yeah, well, sipping a
5
glass
o'clock.
of white Zimph
It's 5 o'clock somewhere. No, it isn't, June.
while
No,
getting
it's-
drunk at a
it's-
daytime soccer game, yelling from the stands.
It's 9 in the morning. You
That's
should
not-
Soccer
stop
moms
drinking
are a
that
lot more
mimosa.
dysfunctional than people give them credit.
They really are. Twitter has taught me so much about soccer moms. They're some fucked up people.
Yep.
Jesse walks around with a Dunkin' Donuts cup full of Chardonnay.
I walk around with a spare Dunkin' Donuts cup full of old coffee to hum at drivers that don't drive according to my standards.
That's actually true. He's not lying.
True Quincy soccer mom is heroin and a box of Carlo Rossi.
You're like a trashier version of Bill Hicks.
No, listen, if you have a nice white Mercedes and the alarm goes off at
No one's
4 in the
Bill
morning, I might throw a moldy coffee at your white fucking
Well, that's
nice
different.
car.
It has nothing to do with driving.
Oh, no, yeah. Also, if you
It's a
change
car.
if you change lanes without signaling, I will speed up, get next to you, and hit you with a nice large regular from 3 weeks ago.
Funny story.
I actually
time out.
hold
All right,
on, though.
everybody, time out. Okay, let me just before we go into the actual episode. So I was driving down to Rhode Island, and I had this asshole like
There's your
tailgating
first
me.
mistake.
He's flashing his high beams, he's honking, and the guy beside me
He's
and
trying to
I,
hit on you.
the guy beside me and I
It's a
are on
thing
a
for
2-lane
tubbies.
highway, like matching speed, so this guy can't get around either of us. And he's getting pissed, and he got right up on my ass, and he'd back off, and I'm brake checking him all the way.
He
So
called you the
I shit you
Hail
not.
Bear.
I shit you not. This is the best thing. If you ever want to get somebody who's tailgating you, I rolled my sunroof back and I hawked a loogie out my sunroof. It hit him right in the windshield, and he fucking slammed on his brakes. I was like, yes,
So
yes.
jealous.
And
You just gave him a semi.
and then so
Proud of you.
so then he got even more pissed. Pulled up beside me, and I'm blowing him kisses, which he didn't like.
I do that too.
So he got behind me again, and he was at this point he was like really driving dangerously. So I took a handful of pennies and threw him up out the sunroof.
I love you.
He was done. So Anyway,
Nice work.
yeah, no,
My stepfather, who rode a motorcycle, used to carry a small little, what can be described as a satchel of ball bearings.
it was a man purse.
So-
A purse.
A merce full of ball bearings, so that if anyone, because people are real bad to motorcycles and you can almost die, he would just get in front of them and hum a ball bearing and crack their windshield.
Oh my god.
These hefty
that's
metal
not the
ball
one who-
bearings.
All right, so I haven't done anything that
No,
cool,
that's the
but
one who I
night
hope dies of cancer AIDS. Yes, that same one.
Okay. So I got
Cocktail
super
of
drunk.
cancer AIDS or AIDS cancer.
I got super drunk in Boston with a very close friend of mine, and we went into a 7-Eleven, which is always a mistake.
Always.
And we wound up getting some hot dogs at 2 a.m. because they were just about to close. And so like I went up to the counter and I had like,
Was it
I had, like,
microwaved?
hold on, I had all these hot dogs. I was holding a
Was
lot
it like
of them.
the old ones
And
that
I
are
was
all
like-
wrinkly because they've been on the
Yeah,
roller
I
for
was-
too long?
Yes,
They're like a
yes.
foreskin
And I was
penis.
but we had covered them in nacho cheese. And I was like extremely drunk. And I was like, listen, you're not going to sell all these hot dogs tonight. But I'll give you $5 for all 5 of these hot dogs. And the guy was like, okay. I'm pretty sure he was just going to throw them out. So we go outside with our cornucopia of hot dogs. And we just eat them in front of the 7-Eleven. So as we're walking up the street with all the trash, because like we didn't want to just throw it on the ground. As we're walking up the street with all the trash,
Because you're considered drunk
we see
people.
this.
Yeah, polite.
Yeah.
Not a
Well, hold on. We
monster.
see this black. Well, let me get there. We see this black BMW that's double
Oh, thank
parked.
God you
and
said
double
BMW.
Parking, double parking is a personal. It sets me off in a
You
way
weren't
that
at
I
the
can't
beach, were
describe.
you?
No, I was in Brighton. So
Brighton
double
Beach.
parking is one of those things that makes me want to light things on fire. Like it gets me so mad because it's like, listen, dickhead, I know that you needed to stop and go in and see somebody,
BMW
but
was a
no one
dickhead.
else on earth should have to fucking move around your fucking car because you're too dumb to find a parking spot. So I took the cheesy containers and just mashed them into the hood of his
That's
car.
awesome. That's awesome.
And so the way I looked at it was I wasn't really littering because they weren't on the ground.
You were doing a public service.
Yeah, I was putting the trash on top of a thing, but I had stuck them to his car because of the nacho cheese that was still in the container. So the residual nacho cheese like spilled out from the sides, and there was like 4 or 5 of these like fucking cardboard, shitty foldable containers just like glued to this guy's car. And I'm hoping to God he was up there for at least like 15 to 20. So that like the cheese hardened enough that it was
Congealed.
just stuck. Yeah, just permanently stuck to his car. Oh man, double park in Boston, and
you
I'm gonna
deserve
do
it.
something bad to your car. I hate your life.
I dumped
You'll
a
never do
Planet
that again.
Smoothie on a Mercedes Benz at the Braintree Plaza in high school.
Don't double park, right?
No,
Just
we
don't
were,
double
we
park.
were standing above the parking garage, and I had just gotten a large chocolate Elvis from Planet Smoothie, which is chocolate, peanut butter, and banana. And there was there was a nicely polished
Does it come
Mercedes
with an
Benz.
impacted colon?
Huh?
Does it come with an impacted colon?
I mean, well, you get it.
But if you don't
It's one of
shit
the
it out less
extras.
than 30
the extra
minutes, you get
protein
the
shot.
That's,
in
no,
it.
yeah, it had the malted, the protein shot, the impacted asshole.
But it was literally the nicest
Excellent.
car I have ever seen. I was like, holy shit, that's really nice, you rich motherfucker. And like, I had my drink on the edge, and you know those moments where you're like, what would happen if I just knocked my drink off and it went all over that Mercedes Benz? And I didn't finish the thought before I was like, I'm doing it. I knocked it off and walked away in one motion. I heard it hit the hood. I heard the goof, but I committed to walking away like I had done nothing, and I disappeared into
You
the
probably
crowd.
dented it.
I never saw. No, my friend was with me. He looked over the edge like a child, blowing the whole plan. I walked back into the mall, continued my day, but he was like, "Dude, it was all over the hood."
So
Just a
great.
large chocolate shake for someone having a nice car.
I'm sorry to eavesdrop.
I fucked up
I
on
got
this.
a really good story. So I was in Hingham, and we
I'm
did.
sorry
an
to
event when I
eavesdrop.
was
You're in a fucking podcast.
You're like, it's not
never
a
on the
surprise
show.
that you're here.
Well, I didn't know if you finished the story or not.
Oh, it was done.
Because a lot of people sometimes.
That's not
So maybe
eavesdropping,
you're
that's
sorry to
interrupting.
interrupt.
Contest.
What contest?
Someone said you were in a contest.
No, I was working a
What?
promotion in Hingham, and there was this woman who was in like a fucking beautiful sports car, and she was probably in her mid 40s, late 30s. She drives her car and she parks right in a handicapped spot. This was like 4th of July weekend. It was mobbed, and one of the guys I was in the street team at the time looks and is like, "Oh my god, what a fucking cunt. Seriously. Sorry for using the language, Jen, but
Are you kidding me?
Why are you whispering?
Cunt. Go.
all right, perfect. I know because I got to check and see because
my
some girls are
fucking-
like, oh, I don't like
Do you know
that
how I
word.
test? Hey, I'm gonna use the word cunt, okay? This woman was a cunt. That's how I
Yes.
test it. Continue.
So she's coming out the store, and the guy, his name was Brett, and he goes right up and he was like, "Excuse me, ma'am, can I help you with your alcohol?" And she was like, "Oh yeah, sure, why not?" And he was like, left, and he was like, "I like to help disabled people." She was like, "What?" And he was like, "Yeah," and he went, "Oh," and he fell down, smashed all her alcohol. It was like a big 24-pack bottle, like everywhere. And he was like, "Oh, I'm sorry about that. Oh, well, that's what you get for parking in a handicap spot when you're obviously not handicapped. So fuck off." And he just walked away. And she was like, "You fucking little bastard. I'm going to have to go back in there, you piece of shit. There was no other spots." And he was like, "You don't park in a fucking handicap spot, okay?"
You don't do it.
It should be
Yeah.
a law that if you park
I
in a
just love
handicap
that. That was
spot,
such a boss move.
That
like,
was
I
a
hate
boss
using that
move.
word, but
No,
that was
I agree.
awesome.
yeah,
He
If
was
you-
an EMT as well. So, like,
Yeah.
he really
more power
took.
to him.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, well, welcome to episode 46 of Misguided Musings. You can find us on Twitter at Musing Podcast. I am at Muse Knuckle. Sarge is at Bastard Prophet. Jesse's at the Jesse Miles. Maynard is at Maynard. Matt is at Eclectic Taste. And Jen is at Jen.
Jennifer824. Learn it.
Damn it, motherfucking son of a bitch, dick.
No
Jennifer's at Jennifer824. You can subscribe to the show on Twitter,
Water.
iTunes, Google Play, Podcast Addict. No,
Twatter.
Yeah, Twitter, whatever. Twatter, yep. Twatter. And you can also go to the website, misguidedmusings.com. So, it's been a while. We took some time off because we could. It's our show, and we want to do that stuff
And we had some
sometimes.
technical
And,
difficulties.
unrelated.
I had
Don
to,
Quixote is not an impressive book. Don Quixote was the original neckbeard. It's for children who want to be special.
If I could interject, and just follow that up with Catcher in the Rye does not make you some sort of
Totally
No,
true.
no, it's
Especially
actually
if your
not
first
really
name
that
is
good of a
Holden.
book, to be honest.
It's
Liking-
rambly, right? It's rambly. I have to deal with the
I
same
read it
last
and I
name.
was like, no wonder serial killers want to kill somebody after reading this. This book depresses the fuck out of me too.
Bragging about reading Don Quixote is like bragging about writing cursive with crayon.
Yeah.
And then the other, I mean, anybody else feel that like Catcher in the Rye is just
It's overrated.
No, can I
Yeah,
actually weigh
it's
in on this
overrated.
personally about Catcher in the Rye? I have the very
Why did you
similar
also
last
hang
name.
out outside of?
No, I have a
Did
similar
you
last
also
name, so
try to
I always
kill
have people
somebody
talk to
impress
me
Jodie
about it.
Foster?
No, I don't have a thing for Jodie Foster,
Never
although
seen
I
the
think
last
we'd
name.
be a really great couple. But that's beside
Yeah.
the point.
okay. I mean, go ahead.
I've
go
had
ahead.
literally everyone talk to me about Catcher in the Rye since before I read it, during when I read it, after I read it, after I wanted to forget about it, and I'm so sick of it. It's not that great. It was great for what it was, and just because it was important doesn't mean that it's great. That's all.
No,
I think
no,
because
it's
in the
not.
1950s it was the first novel we say
Um,
shit.
No, actually, believe it or
I
not,
also-
Matt, Eugene O'Neill wrote a couple of books
Oh, he did?
with the word shit in it. Yeah, in the 30s.
I'm on the fence. I'm on the fence about Lord of the Flies.
You know,
If
that
we're
one
just
didn't
talking
impress
about
me
books
either,
again.
and honestly, I'm starting to think that the author of that book was a little into the boys.
Yeah.
Because he's always
Yeah.
talking about the glistening dew on their back in the sun. Like, I was like, does this guy want to fuck all these kids? I don't understand.
Usually,
And what does he even fat? What does he? What
I mean, how do you think the Boy Scouts got started?
Poor pig. Like poor
People were like,
piggy.
how can we fuck these kids in the woods? Start the Boy Scouts. People who have a serious interest in kids are generally a little touchy.
Poor parents.
Well, you know.
I don't understand that.
I don't think
aspect of life,
parents are
but-
all that interested in kids. You just have to. Because if you let it die, that's a
Did
real
Paul
no-no.
Lind write Lord of the Flies?
No, it was Gary Glitter.
Oh,
Oh, there it was.
There it goes. There we go.
Okay. So unfortunately for all of you, after our little hiatus, I'm still on the show.
We couldn't
so
fire him.
enjoy my
He
voice.
wrote
just
that
couldn't
song
do
after
it.
parents' reactions. Hey! Leave my kid alone.
So we're gonna jump right into this episode.
goes to
after
Thailand to
a,
try escape the
topical
publicity
news
thing?
story.
He was going to Thailand for a lovely treat.
Yeah, there was other reasons to go to Thailand besides publicity, I think, Matt.
Matt believes it's publicity, so we should just. I mean, he's kind of sensitive guy, so we should just let it.
I was
let it
being
go.
sarcastic.
So this episode's going to be about medical instances, be it times we got
Very
sick,
loosely defined
inconvenient
medical
rape,
instances
or-
when you think about it.
Right, yeah. extremely loosely in some instances.
I'm
Anyway,
super loose right now.
So there's a story that Matt sent out that just was too perfect not to share. Nude sunbather injured in Townsville after eagle mistakes his testicles for turtle eggs.
Oh yes.
And so I have to say this injury kind of it piques my interest a little bit, because how big were this guy's testicles that an eagle was like, eggs.
He was
Well,
obviously.
turtle eggs are a little leathery. So are testicles sometimes. It just
imagine that you're an eagle flying over,
He's
like,
obviously
high up over the air, and you're like, I can dive into the water because I'm at the beach and I can get a nice tasty fish, or oh, wait a second, are those turtle eggs? And then it ascends or descends in like its dive, and just gigantic talons right under the testicles.
sounds like this
So
time
anyway,
I got
I
a
was
hand
nude
job
bathing.
from a girl with really big press-on nails.
The real question is, was the turtle disappointed or happy? He's like, oh, I thought these were turtle eggs, but whatever this is much better.
I feel differently about this.
So-
I think
No,
you're
you
trying. I think
do.
what they're really doing is kind of putting their own thoughts in the eagle's mind of what the eagle was trying to do. Maybe the eagle wanted to grab some balls. Okay, like
Maybe
they
he
have
didn't
no way of
mistake it.
knowing that I am an eagle. I think that these are turtle eggs.
Yeah, actually, hold on though. I think Jen's onto something here, because
Always.
how do we know what the eagle's thinking? The eagle didn't
Right.
do an interview afterwards. He was like,
No.
oh, I'm
Well, so
sorry, I thought it
actually,
was eggs.
if I could,
Did he bring them
Yeah.
back?
If
Did
I
he
could,
bring them
The
back?
eagle's
That's
brain
what I
is
want
the
to know.
size of a
Maybe he
quarter.
was just like,
If I
that guy
could-
looks like kind of a fucking asshole. I'm going to take
Yep.
his balls with me.
I mean, if I could just share with you guys for a second. Apparently, an expert said that sea turtles,
He's
sea
like,
turtle
why
eggs
is he nude? I'm gonna
um,
change this.
are a treat. Like
I'm just saying it's a false equivalency. That's all I'm going to
top-
say.
Correlation
it's a
is
false
not
equivalency.
causation.
Agreed, Jen.
Yep.
The exact quote is, turtle eggs are an absolute treat for sea eagles. They very rarely find them, and it's nesting season for turtles in March when this took place. And so the eagle might have gotten excited when it spied the man's
Or maybe the eagle just wanted to give him a tuggerino. You don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that turtle expert got caught giving a blowjob and was like, I thought they were turtle eggs. What you don't understand is
See, motivations.
What I really
Oh, yeah, like
enjoy is
stroking the
that
eagle.
beachgoers rush to provide first aid to the man after the attack.
I want to meet the guy who applied the
He was
pressure.
in a lot of pain, but he remained conscious through the whole ordeal. Said a woman.
Oh goodness,
said a woman
you're
who helped
bleeding.
him.
Hold on,
So
let me apply some
one of the
pressure.
first people to show up to this was a woman.
Oh, I pecked my
that
foreskin
had to
off. That
clamp-
was an easy surgery.
I
Sarge
was so
found him and was like,
concerned
what, sir, why
about
do you have a
blood
weapon?
loss. I was concerned.
Oh, his kosher.
I was concerned about blood loss, so I clamped tightly on the wound.
You're squeezing a little hard. Let it go,
It
please.
says it was a woman. She was trying to get her frustration out.
Yeah,
There
right?
it is.
6 square pounds of pressure.
73 cents in the dollar, huh? Come here, you.
I love anti-feminism jokes. It's so good. I'm
was
not being
not
sarcastic. No,
anti-feminist.
hey,
That
don't
wasn't
get offended. I was
anti-feminist.
agreeing with you. I was laughing
All right,
jovially.
all right. Shit.
I have the one girlfriend that has a
I
huge
got nervous.
problem with feminists.
Who is still a feminist?
I mean, like all
no,
feminists?
I'm a
But,
feminist who
like
has a
all-
problem
like-
with like the crazy ones.
Oh, so you're like a
Yeah.
real.
Oh my
feminist
god,
then.
thank
Good.
you so much.
The ones who are like, I hate men because I have too many lips.
Yeah. Get a labiaplasty and don't be mad at everyone else about
Just
it.
because your pussy looks like Cthulhu's mouth doesn't mean you gotta be mad at the rest of us.
Oh,
She hates
God.
when women flush their.
Shut up, Matt.
Sorry, I literally like went out there. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, clearly, you
Matt's
went
just
right out there.
Matt's like George W. Bush. Every once in a while, when you look at him, you can tell, you can see like the little windows spinning in his eyes. He's just rebooting.
Well, he
The
uses a Mac,
pinwheel.
so it's more like the spinning rainbow wheel.
This is the problem: is that Matt has done so many drugs in his life that from time to time, his brain just needs to start up. You hear like the "you've got mail" symbol. You hear like the computer starting over, and then the fan goes, and then Matt's back in the game.
It's more like the AOL noise.
Apparently,
It sounds like an old
um,
1990s
You hear the
modem.
fax machine go off.
Wait, what happened?
When Matt's brain
the
kicks
blue
back
screen-
on,
the-
it sounds
the
like an
blue
old
screen of
1990s
death.
modem.
Like you just got your free 7 weeks of AOL in the mail.
100 free hours.
You've got mail.
Matt boots up fresh, and you just hear, "You've got mail." Ding ding.
You're trying to
Miles
watch
done.
porn on
Oh.
Bear Share, and it's just that awful video of the girl with the horse again, and you're like, stop naming it different things.
Wait, hold on. I'm sorry. If you're watching porn on something called Bear Share, that's your own fault.
Yeah, you're
I'm
setting
sorry.
yourself up for a
It
really
was the last
confusing
one that didn't give you
adolescence.
viruses after Napster and LimeWire or LimeWire.
Oh, this is before tubes were available. The
Exactly.
tube porn.
It
Okay.
went
Gotcha.
Napster, LimeWire, then Bear Share.
Bear Share. I thought that was like a gay.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I
Oh,
forgot
Kazaa
Kazaa.
too. I
Kazaa.
forgot about Kazaa.
It's pronounced
What
Kaza.
Oh,
about-
fuck Kazaa.
I hope you get chemical bombed in the Kazaa strip.
Oh.
I downloaded.
But like I said, Kazaa.
I downloaded this great
Lot
GIF on
There were
Kazaa.
A's and Z's. Shut up.
All right, so
What?
What?
I'm still using it right now.
Jinx.
okay, so
Kazaa. I got it fired up.
I guess so. In honor of the nude sunbather whose testicles are now in an eagle's mouth somewhere, we we will be telling some embarrassing or not so embarrassing or cringeworthy medical stories, and we're loosely defining medical.
Oh my
stories.
God. I'm sorry. I just realized that seagull is technically a ball seagull.
Well, Eagle. Eagle.
Yeah, I know. I
You
realized
couldn't
it.
even.
You couldn't even get it right,
I
Jesse.
drank too much today.
Today.
Jen, take it out on him. Take it out on him. Just punch him.
2 fingers this time.
Punch him right in the turtle eggs.
Never
Punch
two.
him
We've
right-
discussed this.
Punch him right in the turtle eggs.
Those are mine.
Instead of 2 fingers, it's just a big toe.
Oh.
The length is part of the punishment, dude. Okay.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, with that being said, we are going to take it to a break.
Oh
and then
my
when we come
God.
back,
Yes, please.
we will be regaling you with terrible things that have happened to us.
Oh, and hold on, time out
Insert horrible
before we go on.
commercial here.
We also have a couple of listener submitted stories. Some fans of the show, or not, people who I know who don't know that the show exists. They still send us funny stories though, so we're gonna do that too.
You're listening to Misguided Musings on the Misguided Network. The kind of guys that find cruise ship disasters hilarious. Look at those old funnies. Hello, European lads. Hamish Macbeth here, letting you know if you're gonna be pounding on that American panani or lotioning your bobby and fanny batter, you may need to leave your hats behind. And by that, I mean get circumcised. No joke. Listen to the response I got from some Yankee lasses when I had to draft up my kilt. Oh my god, it looks like a microwaved Italian sausage. Ew. It must be like blowing up on an old balloon found in a bathroom floor. Growl. So there you had it, cunts. Get snipped and enjoy the nice suntan on your willy. This was brought to you by the advocates of no safety hats and the organization Foreskins for Condoms. Foreskins are crap!
Yeah, well, you know what? That's the whole reason I got a Bluetooth, is so that I can like walk to my fridge and get beer.
So the second half of this episode is Sarge's chronicling of himself walking to his fridge. Anyway, welcome back to the episode. Again, we are on Twitter at Musing Podcast. I am at Muse Knuckle. Sarge is at Bastard Prophet. Jesse is at the Jesse Miles. Maynard is at Maynard. Matt is at Eclectic Taste, and Jen is at Jennifer824.
Woo.
Yes, see, I nailed it that time.
Didn't write it down.
And
though.
for those
Told
of you that have blocked me on Twitter, you've made the right decision.
I would agree with that. It's just a lot. It's mindless. Just read Sarge's pinned tweet and what
That's
the
reason
guy
why
had
we
said to
call it
him.
Twatter now.
And I mean, Jules. Jules totally had it right. I think his friends call him Jules, right? Is that what we
Well,
decided?
so be careful with that because I do have a friend named Jules on Twitter, and she does not appreciate the correlation between her and Julian Assange.
Yeah, but it
Julian
wasn't-
Assange,
yeah,
excuse me.
Julian
Julian
Assange.
Assange.
Do you think he's just mad that his parents like named him like a girl's name? Like were they? It was kind of like that Christopher Robin where they just were like, "Ah, it's a girl," and then Christopher Robin came out and they were like, "Fuck, it's a boy."
Well, I
It's a
mean,
boy.
It's especially creepy to see albino with no pink eyes.
what the fuck are you talking about? So, I mean, when you think about it, Johnny Cash really said it best. You know, if you name your kid a girl's name and it's a boy, he may try to cut his dad's ear off. Who knows?
Boy calls
That was
son.
the thing. All right, so
Oh, I get it, because Julian Assange has that creepy white blonde hair. I get it,
Yeah, and
Matt.
he doesn't
Sorry.
have pink eyes.
I misunderstood you. My mistake.
I think you get pink eye from farting on someone's pillow
That's true.
or
We
having someone
learned that
fart on
from
your
Knocked
pillow.
Up, which is
Anyway.
clearly the most factually accurate movie about pregnancy ever made.
It's closer. It is closer. It's closer than what to expect when you're expecting.
I think the
Anyway.
only thing that bothers me about that movie is that they didn't cover what happens in the delivery room, because eventually she's going to poop, and everyone should know that before going into the process.
They don't all poop.
They usually do.
They don't all poop.
They usually do.
I guess I'm gonna go from my experience. I'm gonna go with my experience. And
Does
say
it help if you played like with the Play-Doh like ice cream maker when you were a kid?
It does.
that, like,
It does
ease
help.
you-
It does help. If you don't smell in when it happens, if you don't breathe in at all, it's fine.
Nothing.
Or just make sure they had a great diet that day. Just be like, oh, only eat fruit and like
This
sweet
episode will be
stuff.
the guy
You know
for
what? You know what the
guys
problem
getting
is,
over
though.
Let's put it this way.
pregnancy.
You never know when the baby's coming.
Let's
Guys
put it
and
this way.
gals.
It could come. It could come on fruit day. It could come on Taco Bell day. You don't know.
Nothing in life prepares you to hold a leg above a woman's head while she pushes an 8-pound object out of a birth canal.
Unless you have been in porn before.
Object. Stop that.
Well, I mean, if you don't know what it is, right? You just have like an ultrasound and stuff.
Could
Well,
be
you
an
know it's a
alien.
baby. I hope.
I
Unless you
hope.
get it
It's a
wrong.
human person.
What if it's? I mean,
Monster.
have you guys not seen Alien?
They do kind of look creepy
It'd
when
be
they
even
come out. To be
creepier if it
honest.
was like a
Dagger.
25-year-old dude.
What's
It was
weird
like,
is when they
"What's up,
come
Pops?"
out, they've
Hey,
got
what's
like
for
kind of
dinner?
they've got kind of like a cone-shaped head.
And there's like a
And
cross.
so when
do
they come
they?
out, you're like, that's not mine.
That's creepy.
But
Some of
eventually the
kids
head
grow up
kind of
to
like
be
pops out.
named Dagger.
You know, like when you in the cartoons when they put their thumb in their mouth and they blow really hard and their head like goes back to normal shape. That's basically what happens like 3 days after the baby's born.
Oddly enough, at my job, we make those helmets like if your baby's head didn't shape right, we
Yes,
make helmets
yes.
that like push their little soft skull
One of my
back in
kids,
a round
one of my
shapes.
kids had to wear it. One of my kids had to wear it for a while.
Yeah, we make those.
What we did is we painted it like a baseball.
The side of his head was
Nah,
completely
that's
flat.
awesome.
We're still not sure how it happened.
It was. You could actually hold a drink on it perfectly when he was asleep. Not
I
that
think
know
someone
anything
put a
about that.
drink on it while they weren't paying attention.
So
I don't know what you guys are talking about now. If you excuse me, I need to go get a drink.
we're gonna kick this off.
This
with-
kid's great. His
Hey,
head's
all
like
right,
a
we're done.
QZ.
We're done. All right, we're gonna kick this off with the story from our good friend Maynard.
I'm sorry, I gave you
Maynard!
disappointed dad voice.
I didn't realize I was at first. Wow. Okay, there's a lot of pressure here. No,
You'll
know-
do better than me. Don't worry
Yeah,
about it.
Well, we're not even gonna tell Matt's story, so please go on.
Yeah, more than likely. my
We're like,
story
go
will
ahead,
not
Matt, tell
happen.
your story, and then we mute him.
Or delete.
delete.
I'm
Well,
actually
Jordan,
deleting
when-
my own stories. That's how bad. Go ahead, dude. Sorry.
When you said earlier you were telling the story about the sunroof and throwing things out the sunroof, that kind of reminded me of this. So keep that in your mind as we go through this.
That's in
Just so
there.
you guys know, Maynard does zero preparation for the show. He literally flies by the seat of his pants.
I-
Or, well, in this particular instance, he flies by the seat of his assless chaps.
Yes, and I just pulled a tick out of my neck while I was sitting here, so that was nice. That was pleasurable.
I mean,
The things some people are into.
a blood sucking parasite, or your wife. I mean, same difference.
You know what? Honestly, him getting a hard on by pulling a tick out of his neck is probably the least
Wait.
weird thing he's told me turns him on.
Oh,
It's called
okay,
Suburban
but-
Sex Stories.
There was nothing sexual about that. I was just saying that in my walk over,
Oh, it
from
became
something got
sexual.
onto my neck, and that's what it was. So
I mean, if
anyhow,
you maybe stopped rolling through the bushes and you just kind of walked up the driveway, it would probably not have happened.
All right, you make a valid point. You make a very valid point. So, a couple of years ago, this kid that worked in my store that you all know I worked in down in Providence, he was turning 21. He wanted to go out for his birthday. He didn't have a lot of friends, so like, okay, when you turn 21, we'll go out and we'll go tie a couple on. But
Wait, so you're telling me that somebody who works in a porn shop didn't have a lot of friends? That's the weirdest thing I've ever heard.
I don't understand. He was really nice, but anyway, he also wanted an ice cream cake. So I'm like, all right, fine, I'll get this kid an ice cream cake. So
Was
it
he
Carvel?
12?
I don't
Fuck you,
know.
ice cream
I don't
cake's
ask questions. He liked ice cream. He liked cake. He liked them all in one. And yes, it was Carvel.
Fudgy the Whale or
Cookie
Octopus?
Cookie Puss.
Cookie Puss. Cookie Puss.
Ah, Cookie Puss.
It was fudgy.
Yes!
Kind of
It's
sounds
always
like
fudgy.
It sounds,
It's always fudgy.
sounds like a Friday night for Jesse.
Which was also the name of one of the movies. Weird, but anyway. So
As long as it's not chocolate chip.
So we have some ice cream cake at the store before we close early that night because surprisingly it was low in business that evening, and we go out and we start drinking. He's 21, so he wants to go for it. So fast forward to 1 o'clock, whatever it was in the morning, he still wants to do some Jaeger shots, and
Jaeger
know,
shots.
Oh.
like I said, he's 21. I'm older, and so I do them.
Licorice in drink
Whatever.
form.
Do with the kid. We call a cab, and it's when that ice cream cake decision really starts to not be a good one. I look around. The cab driver was very adamant that he didn't want either of us getting sick in his cab, so that this was going to happen. We're on the highway. I just open up the window and stick my head out, and the car behind us. God, I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened to that car, but it was covered. It was covered. And I guess the one thing that that you also don't realize is that not all of it actually makes it out the window when you stick your head back in when you're going 60 miles an hour down the highway. So it was pretty messy, and we at that point we just took the cab to my place. That kid, he was fine. He had youth. I didn't. He crashed on the couch, and I spent the rest of the evening puking into a paper bag, a plastic bag. Excuse me.
That would have been.
I
way
mean, I'm
messier.
glad it was a plastic bag and not a paper one.
Yes. No. At least.
I've puked into a paper bag. It's not a good scene.
Nope. I mean, it
No.
probably ends pretty quickly with vomit on the floor.
It ends not quickly enough though, because you're like, like trying to get rid of it. It's not good.
Wait, what were you
Oddly,
like?
it's the same.
Do it
it's
again.
the
One more
more
time.
time.
One more time.
Yeah, well,
No!
that's accurate. But don't ever eat.
Like that
ice
time I
cream
tried to
cake
use
and drink.
cheesecloth as a vomit bag.
Oh my god.
I wouldn't put it past you. Maynard, you're lactose intolerant, right?
Yeah. Oh, I didn't mention that. Yeah, I'm very.
He doesn't want any of those dirty lactose
Yes.
moving into his neighborhood,
Yeah. So that yeah, none of
bringing
that.
down the property value.
You damn cows and farms. And... Yes, I should have mentioned that earlier.
He
in
left
the
a
story.
burning hood carton on his lawn.
That's how you stop gentrification.
I was more or less excited at the I was thinking of the story before we went in, but then when you said the pennies going out the roof, I'm like, oh, I got something going out the side of the car too.
You know what's terrible about that is when you puke out the side of a car, not only does it end up just trailing along the side of the car, but that car behind you just.
They're like, what
they-
just happened?
Never be the
They're
same.
like, where did we go? Did we hit something?
It's even worse if you puke out a car and you're facing the wrong direction.
Oh, yes.
Way to go, Tommy. You fucking drove through fucking Fudgy the Whale again, you asshole.
There's not enough windshield washer fluid in the world for that poor car.
It's kind of like when a dog's barking at a hose that's in its mouth already.
Yes.
All right, Jesse, why don't you go next?
Okay. Well, I eat like a 4-year-old when I'm left to my own devices. It's just pizza, Elio's preferably, which is a problem apparently. I'm a huge fan of Velveeta brick cheese because I grew up poor.
I think Mama Celeste is a little mad right now listening to this because she found out you don't love the pizza.
Do you
No,
use
Elio's is better than
ramen
Celeste.
noodles for buns?
No, I'm not that poor. I mean, I'm still half white. Oh, I felt bad about that one.
Not bad enough
You
to say
should.
Is that what you say to your girls?
What?
it. Again, Matt's just missing left and right this one.
Fuck is happening right now?
All right.
So I had some stomach issues one year, and I had to go and get checked out at the doctor.
Like for an entire year.
You know. Turns out it wasn't celiac. I'm just a piece of shit.
It wasn't pieces.
I'll
That's
be
the
honest
problem. It
with
wasn't
you.
pieces of shit. It was not forming.
Jesse,
But I was-
ibuprofen
You know,
are
honestly,
not
the-
You
skin.
eat little pieces of shit for breakfast?
The colonoscopy kind of explains your sudden penchant for more than one finger, Jesse.
No, there was no. Here's the problem. Turns out when you have enough pain in your stomach, the solution is always through your asshole. So,
That's what he tells me all the time.
Jesse, I have a tummy ache. I can fix it.
use the middle, you get more reach. Feel for all the imperfections. Anyways, so I'm only about 20, 21 at the time. Never had
Why did I
anything.
drink that?
Never had anything up there bigger than a Scoutmaster. So, so what happens is the guy puts on the glove. It's just as uncomfortable in the movies, except they don't have you bend over the table like a prison rape person. They actually just have you lay on the actual like gurney and just like lay on your side. It's not as oddly rapey as they always make it in the movies.
It kind of sounds a little anticlimactic, to be honest with you.
Well,
Like he doesn't put on Hall and Oates' version of you never close your eyes.
no, but my heart was
Just
singing,
relax yourself, son.
My heart was still singing Hall and Oates, except it was "Hello, Darkness, my old
That
friend."
is Simon and Garfunkel. Go fuck yourself.
Oh, you
Oh
know
my
what?
god, even Maynard knew that.
Wow. What do you mean even Maynard?
I had a Maynard
Like
with
it
the
wrong in the
Wolford
past.
Brimley mix-up.
That's really
You had
fucking bad.
you had a Warren Beatty moment in the
Yeah,
doctor's
I
office.
Warren
That's for
Beatty,
sure.
Ned Beatty
Oh,
moment.
not this again.
So the doctor goes to do that and turns me into basically Kermit from the Muppets.
Well, you like it. I mean, you
Were you waving your arms
Nickname
around like you were
hashtag
really
Hand Puppet
excited?
Jesse.
Yeah, it's real. It's not easy being green at that moment. Now my instinct is always break the tension. I'm incredibly uncomfortable, so I decide to tell a joke.
Moon River.
Yeah. I decide to turn to the doctor and go, well, if you drink a glass of water right now, I'll sing the ABCs and we can impress all your coworkers. Yeah, see, that's what that joke's designed to do,
Well,
make you
he
laugh.
was-
You know what's a problem?
Yeah, but you don't want a doctor to laugh while his finger is in your butthole.
All of a
Thank
sudden
you
his
so
fish
much for
just gets
intercepting the
caught.
punchline of the story.
You just did an Irish.
Cut that out,
pig
George. Cut that out, George. Keep
all
going.
over, all over his story.
Yeah, all over it.
You just Fred Astaire that whole fucking thing.
The
Just
story
cut
has
all that out.
The story has
Let's
a
start
build.
over. Jesse, go. Finish that spot.
So one thing I quickly learned is it's a massive mistake to make someone laugh whilst also inside you.
Jen, take notes.
I don't know what was worse, having a man laugh whilst inside me or him turn me down for my dinner offer after the examination. The rejection
Oh my
stung
God.
a little more than the faded butt.
Hopefully, he was just going up and to the left.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh my god.
Boy.
I was like, first things first, it's you hook the finger and go, come here.
That's for girls.
I learned.
Hold on.
It's
Hold
not
on.
come here.
It's go away. Get out.
Yeah.
All right, hold on. Just this reminds me of a funny story. So
I don't know. We have a lot of stories to get to. But is this really
hold on. This is super quick. So when I was going to the medical board for the Army to get accepted into the military, they tell you all these terrible stories of like what's going to happen to you. So I went into this room, and a doctor comes up and stands in front of me, and he does a normal, ask me all these questions, and he's like, okay, take down your pants. So I took down my pants, and he's like, you also have to take down your underwear. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, fuck, he caught me. So like I pulled out my underwear too, and then he's like, all right,
Your
now
second
turn
pair
around.
of underwear
And
still needs to come down.
So I turn around. And he's like, okay, now bend forward. And I'm like, this is going to be the worst thing of my life. This is the worst moment ever. So I bend over, and I'm like kind of like sheepishly thinking to myself, like, this is going to be bad. Get ready. And then he's like, okay, you can pull your pants up.
2 hands on your hips.
No, hold on. He's like, okay, you can pull your pants up. So I pull my pants up, and I'm thinking to myself, like, what was he just looking for? Did he just want to know what it looked like? This is just like, every time he sees somebody, he's like, I wonder what that guy's butthole looks like. Bend over. Let me take a quick look. So I walk out of the room, and this kid's like, what just happened in there? And I was like, I don't know if it was worse than what you think is going to happen in there. I don't know. It's funny for me.
Not worth the 2 minutes of my life. On a side note, I just wanted
to know what he was looking for. What are you looking for when you look at my butthole?
Why
Is there
don't
like a
you
medical
ask
thing
him?
there? Is there a thermometer that comes out?
Checking
I
to
don't
see
know.
if it was bleached.
Good call. Good
on
call.
a side note, I had a doctor, because I had a respiratory infection. I had a doctor once who was like, oh, we're going to give you a steroid injection.
Doc, you're looking in the wrong hole if it's a respiratory
So-
infection.
Is that when you were working the coal mine, Jordan?
So she's like, I'm going to give you a steroid injection that'll open up your airways. And I'm like, oh, that'd be really cool. And she's like, but we're going to have to like shoot you in the side of your buttocks. And I was like, oh, I don't want to do that. And she's like, well, we got to shoot this into muscle. And I was like, yeah, but I'm not a fan of needles near my butt. And so if we could do this a different way. And so she's like, you're not gonna like it, but we'll shoot you in the arm. So I'm like, cool.
I'm not a fan of needles in my butt. Do you have something wider?
So she gets this needle, and I don't know if you guys have ever seen like one of these steroid injection needles. It's fucking
they're huge.
And
Yeah.
so she helps me roll up my sleeve, and she goes, "This is gonna suck," and she jabs it right into the muscle of my arm, and she injects me before I knew it happened. And I was like, wow, that really did suck. She was right. And I'm like, but I instantly felt better. I could breathe. I was like, oh, this is great. And then I went to go out to my car after I got the injection, and I couldn't pick my arm up. I had to literally swing my arm. My arm was dead from the steroid injection.
Stroke. Don't make it fun of me.
It was so bad. I literally couldn't use my right hand. I had to reach around my steering column and turn my car on with my left hand. It was miserable. So if anybody,
you should have seen him cutting the hole out of the. You should have seen him cutting the hole out of the watermelon when he tried to fuck it with his left hand.
I was gonna say he could have given himself the total stranger.
You took a long way to get there. A long way to get there. All right. Let's go with Sarge's story next.
All right. So, back in the day, I had this very close friend. I won't say his name because he did not give me permission to use this story, but I couldn't not use the story. So. We're going to call him Greg Thompson, and he knows who he is. Hey, Greg. So he's a big fan of Don Quixote.
Not a big fan of the blacks.
So me and Greg Thompson, we used to go out drinking all the time. We used to party a lot and get very, very drunk and very, very high all the time. So anyway, this particular evening, I had met this lovely young woman, and she had said, I'm going to Pat Flanagan's, which is a disgusting bar that no longer exists in Quincy. And she's like, I'll meet you there. And I was like, great, this is perfect. Because Pat Flanagan's has 2 rooms. It has the Pat Flanagan's room, and then it has the bullshit, weird techno room. And so I was like, if she's a weirdo and I realize that she's not somebody I want to hang out with, I'll go in the other room. So I go to Pat Flanagan's and I'm waiting at the bar, and the girl walks in, and I get like a clearer look at her, and she had a fanny pack. So I decided to go in the other room and not be anywhere near her because it's not going to end well. and we decided to start drinking. And so we're drinking very heavily. I mean, we had only had a couple of beers before, but we started doing shots. And then I ran into an old coworker, and he wanted to do some kamikaze shots. And I was like, that's fucking great. Let's do some kamikaze shots. And so the bartender brings the shots over, and we're all sitting there kind of like laughing and joking around. And then we all do our shots. And then Greg, whose name rhymes with Schmayan, throws up all over the bar. All over it.
Lion?
And we look, and we kind of like make eye contact, and I'm looking at him like, you fucked the night. We have to leave. And so he takes his hand and puts it on the bar and squeegees his own vomit onto the floor. And then continues to drink his beer. And so I'm like kind of looking around like, did anyone see what just happened?
That's uncomfortable.
Do I need to start running?
Yes.
And so he finishes his beer and he's like, okay, let's go. So we go into the other room and we're drinking, and all I hear from the other room is, what the fuck is that smell? There's this guy standing in Greg's vomit.
Never a good thing.
Makes you wonder how often that actually happens.
Often. I'm short.
So,
I see it more often than you guys do.
So I can't stop laughing because this dude in these like very nice shoes is standing in a puddle of Greg Thompson's regurgitation. And the bartender is like perplexed as to where it came from. Like, what just happened? So we spent the entire night drinking in the other room of Pat Flanagan's with the girl that I tried to avoid the entire night, only because my friend can't handle his kamikaze shots. So that's my story.
My friend Mark
he was kind of a pussy. But at the same time, and there's a little addendum to this. Years later, I was on a cruise in Miami from New Year's Eve, and I also was offered a kamikaze shot. And like a moron, I drank it after having many, many, many margaritas. And so I had my own Greg Thompson moment on the boat, and then later in the bathroom of the boat, and then later in the cab on the way home from the hotel.
Had a plastic bag with handles around his ears.
It was wrapped around my head like a fucking feed bag.
That's awesome.
And when I got into the cab,
that was me after the ice cream.
Yes, I was very, very embarrassed.
You merely adopted
and I lost a tie.
Poisoning. I was born in it.
So the tie that I was wearing that night, by the way, years and years later, I lost the tie. I thought it was gone forever. Years and years later, I come home from work one day and it's on the doorknob at my parents' house. And it took me a good 20 minutes to figure out where it might have come from before my sister was finally like, oh, no, I've had this for years. I just forgot that I had it.
All right.
So it like just appeared out of, but at first I was like, it was a mystery to me. I was like, did the cab driver bring it back? Like, is he stuck? Is this like a Cape Fear thing where like he rode on a bus underneath it, holding onto the undercarriage, coming all the way up to Massachusetts to deliver my tie back to me?
Probably been a much
May I share a tiny story about cabs and puking?
Please do.
When my first year of college, I got really wasted around Halloween, and I was dressed as Quail Man, and I just started projectile vomiting.
Costume.
I started projectile vomiting just out of a cab, just with the belt on my head, like falling in my face and shit, and just blah. Okay, that's all. Thanks.
See? So you knew what I was talking about then. You knew exactly what I was talking about.
I was kind of hoping for a little bit more out of that story.
I will say the most impressive puking at a bar story I've ever seen was I was at my friend Mark's 21st birthday. He had just finished a Corona, and we made him take a shot.
That's
of whiskey.
his first mistake.
Yeah, we made him take a shot of whiskey, and like I see it happen in his face, and he's like, 1 second, puts the Corona up to his lip, and throws up discreetly.
Oh my god!
Fills the bottle to the brim, stops throwing up, puts the bottle on the bar, and goes, I think we should change bars.
You know what's
and we
amazing,
left.
though?
He didn't get a drop on the floor. He
That's
didn't
amazing.
he didn't like freak out or anything. Just put it to his lip and let it just kind of like drip out his.
You know what's
top
actually
lip
amazing though? Is it didn't change the flavor of the Corona at all.
But we left
He
before
had
the
to
bartender took the bottle. I can only imagine what happened when he went to go grab it and throw it away.
Temperature change, man.
He's like, oh, this Corona smells better. Somebody must have thrown up in it.
Why is this Corona heated up? It's like body temperature.
I have a better story if you want one.
No, we're gonna actually just have you tell your story.
Okay. Peace.
Ouch.
I'm gonna put my
Beast
feminine
mode.
charm somewhere else, on someone else's face.
What?
I mean, if you're
You ever
looking
seen
for
the movie
volunteers,
Aliens?
I mean,
It's
Jesse's
facials.
already told his story, so he's pretty much useless for the rest of the night.
Ah,
Oh,
Jesus.
let's listen to Jen's story. Jen has a
That's what I
story
just said,
anyway,
we're
so
gonna-
let's
I
hear
said
it.
We're gonna have
Yeah,
her tell
I
her
mean,
story.
I couldn't hear you. Shut up.
I'll tell a fun story, but it's also half fun, half not fun. Also another half fun, if that's possible. So I was single for a while, and I really liked using the swipe apps like Tinder and Bumble and whatever else there was. I was
Grindr.
probably on it. I was on Grinder for a little bit, didn't go well. Disappointed in all
No,
the people.
no. The men
They
weren't
realized you
They
interested.
were
Like
not
40-year-old
interested.
Puerto
I
Rican,
felt
you were fine.
really
You're like-
fucking ugly, you know.
Were you
They're
on
like,
your
I
fair
don't think
share?
you have a penis.
That they were wrong. I just had them. They just weren't attached to me, so that was the problem.
It's a very, very large clitoris.
Yeah, that's right.
Jesse's a satisfied man.
Very.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, so I was making myself dinner one night. I can't really cook, but I can make one meal, and I can make salmon and asparagus. And I was really happy with myself. Yeah, and you know where this is going. So, so I was like, yay! I'm like so happy. I'm like putting like my seasoning on it and putting a bunch of butter and like cooking it. And then I swiped right and I matched with some guy on Bumble, whose name is Giovanni, and he looked like a model. And he was beautiful. And I was like, wow, I'm being catfished. And he's like, I want to meet you tonight. Like in some Italian accent that I can't do. I can't do accents. Fuck you. So
I think it was more like, how you doing?
no,
What's
he was
going
from
on? I wanna
Italy.
meet you
He was
tonight.
from Italy.
I want to throw it in you for a
He
little
did
bit.
not sound like that. I'm just gonna make sure that that's
The Moors made it so we have darker features.
He did say that. I'm just kidding. Okay, so I matched with him. It was a Monday, and I was like, "This is kind of weird that he wants to meet tonight." But like, I was like, "Okay, well, I'm making dinner. It's not gonna be until later." So we end up meeting up. It's like 8:30. He picks me up in his Beamer. And he's like, "I'm hungry. Do you want to go eat?" And I'm like, "I just told you I ate dinner." He's like, "Fine, we're going to Tasty Burger." I was like, "All right." So for our first date, after I'd already eaten, he takes us to Tasty Burger. So he orders, and he's like, "Do you want anything?" I was like, "I guess I'll have a Diet Coke." Like, I guess. Like, I don't even drink diet soda. I just felt really self-conscious about this dude because he looked like a supermodel, and I was like, I'm like over 110 pounds, so I need to make sure I get a Diet Coke. So
Well, then you get in the car and he's like, "Is that asparagus? How
yeah,
you doing?
right.
What's going on?"
I wish the story had to do with
Compete.
pee, but it doesn't. I just want to make sure that this.
There's no dossier.
We're
Yeah.
gonna half diet, half regular. I'm watching my figure.
It's called the Trump special.
So we go. We have a
little bit of
pretty
weight.
ridiculous conversation, and he's like, basically, "Do you want to come back to my apartment?" I was like, "Sure, why not?" And
Pee on my mattress.
I'm up for making a bad decision. Let's go.
so in his car, we're driving back to his apartment, and I kind of start to feel like a little uncomfortable. Like my body's not feeling so great. I'm like, you know, like, yeah, not doing so hot. And I was like, okay, well, this shouldn't be that big of a deal. I'll be okay. Like, it's not like I had ice cream. Like, that would have been a problem. So, yeah, you hear what I'm saying over there, Mr.
Oh my
Carvel over there. So,
The softest of serves.
so we go to his house. We immediately start making out, and literally like 45 seconds into making out, he whips his dick out, and he's like, "You want to
He's
go
like,
down
is
on
that
me?"
is that adobo? Is
It
that
was adobo.
that I smell in your mouth?
We weren't there yet. Thanks for jumping ahead. But he immediately wants me to go down on him, so I start sucking his dick because that's what you do. And it was nice. And then he's like, "Do you want to sit on my face?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I think to myself, "No." And why did you say yeah?
Sit on my face.
Yeah, sit on my face. Yeah, that's what he said.
All I picture,
It's me,
all I picture
that
is
Dave.
yes, there it is. Yep.
So,
all I can picture is Mario.
I hope your first orgasm is a masculine one.
So we go to his,
If you
we go
put
to
it
his
in, you
bed.
did it make the pipe noise like blah blah blah. blah.
Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo.
She got an STD. It was called the Fire Flower.
Oh my god. Okay.
When you reach climax, did you hear?
It's me, Cumsies.
That hurts to hear.
Every time he orgasms, there's a flag in the room that goes straight up the pole.
Fireworks over his house.
Yep. So, anyways, we go. He goes immediately to his. He goes immediately to his bed, and he's like, okay. So I take off my clothes and I leave my underwear on, and he's like, because I don't know, because I'm having second thoughts, and he's like, you need to take your underwear off, and I was like, yeah, okay. I'm thinking to myself like, oh Jesus Christ. So I'm in cramp mode. So it's a good thing that I'm sitting on his face, so I can at least put my arms down and like kind of hunch a little bit, so I can like keep my comfort level at a maximum. Yeah.
Hold it in.
So I'm like, okay. He said sit on his face. So like it's fine. It'll just be pussy. No, immediately direct tongue to asshole contact. Immediate, no break. Just that's it. Direct contact. And I'm like, okay. So this is it.
All I can think of right now, Jen, is you holding in one of those Super Mario Brothers bullets, the black ones
bullet
with
bills.
arms.
Yeah.
Bullet bill.
He's just
Yeah, he
banging
was
on the door.
banging. It was not good. So I was upset. It was
Like
not
when
going
you see
well.
someone reaching under a desk and they don't realize there's a mousetrap there.
Oh.
The
Or like
fingers is
gum
getting
underneath
closer
it,
and
you're like,
closer.
ew.
You're like, oh no.
So I was really, really uncomfortable, and I was getting really fucking worried. And it was to the point where I was like, this isn't gonna work for much longer. And then he comes.
Because he's Italian, not German.
Because I was so distracted by this that I didn't notice that he was jerking off like while I was sitting on his face, and because he was so into just eating my ass, and he comes and I'm like, oh my God, I don't have to worry anymore. So then everything was fine. He didn't even attempt to pleasure me. Like, not even a little of an attempt to pleasure me.
No,
just asshole. He came and he's like, oh. And I was, and then he had the energy to load up a
That's
hookah,
the
but not
spicy
to
meatball.
help me. So there you go. Thank you, Giovanni.
Oh, Giovanni. He
was so
weird
fucking
dude.
weird. He was beautiful, but he was so
You
fucking
have no
weird.
idea. You have no idea how close your tongue came to
Dude,
Bullet
right?
Bill.
I bet he would have fucking loved it. No.
If that would have happened, you just would have heard.
Yeah, but then he would have had to like hop in
He
the
probably would've
shower
loved
and
it.
wash all
Would
the
he be
poo off his
considered
Italian
racist if
horn
that had
necklace.
happened because he would technically have been in blackface? You just let loose.
So Matt, do you have a story, or should we just move on?
So mine had to do with the first time I ever had sex. So
Of course
I was
it did.
with a partner at the time.
Was
and-
it a captured woman from another continent? I'm just trying to make sure if it was at the same massage parlor that you got arrested in.
No, this was actually a
Okay.
girlfriend at the time. And
No, this is a real person. It's fine.
no, this is a real. No, this was like a real relationship. So anyway, it was the first time I had sex, and it was in my house, and my parents were away, and we were ready to do it, and I was like, oh, like the first time you have sex, you're thinking to yourself like, oh shit, like I don't know what the
I gotta
fuck
like
I'm doing.
candles. There needs to
Yeah.
be roses.
I gotta
on
hurry
it.
Just
before
that,
she
just a
wakes up.
condom.
What?
Like you just look at the condom and you think, okay, well here's the thing is I am from Great Britain, and in Great Britain they don't nip when you're born. So I had how could I put it, a hat on my
You already had a
Any
condom.
of these?
Yes, I
You
already
already had a
had
condom.
listeners?
You just
skin
needed.
made
You
condom.
really just needed to tie it up with a bow
Listen,
to
if any
hold
of
it
the
up.
listeners came over from Gear, or they listened to the episode where John was on, we already know that you had a extra fabric on your sweater.
Yes.
It was a little bit more. Yeah.
And well, apparently when they did it, they didn't do it correctly. They snipped, meet the parents. Well, apparently they kind of did like a little bit of a half
So
one.
it looks like mortadella when it's
So-
rolled up.
It was.
Yeah,
It was a half hitch. It was a
Yes.
half hitch knot.
a little bit, but I don't. Anyway, I'll tell the story. So I'm like like getting into it, making out with her, and then I'm like, all right, I gotta put the condom on. And then I freaked out because I was like, oh fuck. Like I've never put a condom on before. I didn't even practice with a condom before.
You know what? Honestly, I got to ask you a question before you continue, Matt. My equipment is completely foreskin free. do you put the condom over the foreskin, or is it like, do you pull it back? I don't know. Is it like a lightsaber?
I bet if Matt's
let me
dick
just
had
tell
a
you
voice, it
something.
would
What
be like,
happens?
really, dude? More layers?
Let me just tell you something. I never
It's
had
hot
to
enough in
witness it
here.
after that night. So, and I'm also like fully erect too. So, and the dumb thing that I did, from what I've, I should have done my research beforehand. I didn't put any lube on or whatsoever. I had an erection and I just took the condom and I put it right over my penis, and it literally felt like taking a Band-Aid off of my dick because it just
That
like
sounds like
pushed
boo-boos
If
for
you
everyone.
do
all
use
the
lube,
way
you put it on
back.
the outside of the condom, not before you put the condom on. That'll just make it slip off.
Well,
I freaked out, and I was getting into it, and I was nervous because, like, it's a nerve-wracking thing the first time you had sex, and I was nervous about not having an erection because this was like a very intense, scary thing. So when I put the
I don't
condom,
mean to sound like that guy, but I have never really been concerned about maintaining the erection. It was always the coming within 30 seconds that I've been concerned about.
well, it was just the first time I had sex. So anyway, I
Why was he out of
pushed
breath
it
when
a-
he said that?
Yeah, is he masturbating right now? Matt, are you cleaning
That's
your
my
clock right now,
job.
bro?
To masturbate for Matt? That's weird.
So anyway, I put
Yeah,
the
we have an
condom on
arrangement.
and my skin pushed backwards. And like I said, it felt like ripping a Band-Aid off. It was so fucking painful. And I'm like, oh shit. And so my girlfriend's sitting there and she was like, oh, you ready? And I'm like, no. And I looked at Shaw. She was like, oh, the skin had pushed all the way back. And it was it nipped so
like peeling a
badly. I
banana,
was
huh?
like, yes, like peeling
Wait,
a
I'm sorry.
banana.
Are you bleeding?
No
Were you
bleed,
bleeding?
no blood
Oh, okay.
anywhere.
I was worried
but
that the condom
throbbing.
filled up with
It was
blood.
extremely painful. And also I had an erection at the same time, so I'm just like looking at myself. I'm like, please go down. But
You didn't really answer the question though. Does the condom go over the foreskin? Is
Well,
it
this
supposed
one
to?
clearly-
It's
this
supposed to
one
go
clearly-
under.
I
I'm
tried
confused.
to put it over the foreskin, which I learned was
Oh,
first of all
okay.
the wrong thing to
Failure.
do. And at the same time, I as I said, I was very inexperienced at this. I didn't think. I just went, you just put a condom on, and then I screamed like a little girl too because it was so fucking painful. Like I was like crying, and all of it.
It
so
sounds like you're really familiar with what the scream of a little girl sounds
Yes.
like, which is weird to me.
So 20
I like how
minutes
he
later,
didn't
my
even-
parents are home, and I'm like, shit.
So
So I go into the bathroom, and the first thing I look online, and they say, run a cold bath. Sorry, run a cold bath.
Stick your dick in
Because
some
the
hot
best
water.
thing to do is, so I got the condom off and I get into the bath and it's like super fucking cold. Luckily it was the, summertime as well. So I get into the bath and I'm just like, basically like, I'm using soap and everything and I'm trying to like pull it back and it just wasn't happening. It
gross.
was just like, it
You
was
know,
like,
if you
so
just come into the condom, you'll already make your own lube to get the condom off.
I was inexperienced. It was the first
I mean, I'm not a
time
scientist.
I was 25 years old. This is the kind of shit that happens. No, I was 17.
Wait,
at
hold
the
on, time out. I was gonna say,
time.
wow.
So it was so bad. I was like, oh, fuck, I gotta tell my dad. Like, fuck, because like this is just so painful. So my girlfriend
Matt,
had
I don't
left.
want to shit in your ice cream, but my first instinct when I get an erection is not like I better call my dad.
I gotta call that.
So,
Dad, it's
Yikes.
hard again.
And
So
this is how
I
you lost
got
your
over-
virginity?
Again.
This time I'm
this
stuck
was
in
my first
a
attempt
balloon.
of losing my virginity.
Okay, I was gonna say if it
And
worked
so
out after
anyway.
this, you were with a magical woman.
No, it didn't work out. We broke up 6 months later. But anyway, so I tell my dad, I'm like, Dad, there's something wrong. And he was like, oh, what is it? And he was like, so I like unzip and he was like, whoa, what are you doing? And I'm like, and I pull over and he was like, oh, you didn't get that cut off? And that was like his first statement to it. He was like, oh, you poor fuck guy. He was like, oh, so he was like, well, what have you done? I'm like, I tried to go in the bath. I used a cold bath. I tried to push it back. It's not going back. He was like, well, I mean, I don't know what to do. I mean, get some lube and, he could tell he was like embarrassed. Like he didn't want to deal
Is
with
there
it.
a zipper?
So a couple of
Well, yeah,
days-
you're showing your father your fucking dick, you weirdo.
Well, I had to. It was like so.
That's like something you
I was
pester a best
paranoid.
friend with.
Plus,
I can think of a number of experiences in my life where I haven't shown my father my dick, but now you can't.
What was he supposed to do? I really had no clue.
Not show your father your dick. That's step one.
I don't even know how that works, and I think that's wrong.
But what was he
There's medical
supposed to do?
professionals
I was
who are more than
paranoid. I
happy-
figured he kind of had
Go
experience
see a
in
doctor.
this. He was
Very
just
see a
like,
American
medical
Pie,
professional and be
really
like,
is.
so I didn't have health
It
insurance
really
at the time,
is.
and I was also an illegal, so I couldn't go to the fucking
but
hospital.
yeah, if you're an illegal immigrant, you get free health insurance, and
No,
then you
that's
don't have
not
to show
true.
your father
That's not
your
true.
erect penis.
So anyway, a couple of days go by, and I end up it still was kind of like stuck. It managed to go up halfway, but it got to like the head, and it kind of like stalled. So I went to the doctor. The doctor looked at it, and he was like, "Okay." He's like, "This is gonna hurt," and he pushed it back up, and I was like, "Oh," and I was totally fine. So a year
So
goes.
is that when you lost your virginity?
No, so I actually, I did have a doctor. I don't know.
Man, this is probably the greatest story I think you've ever told.
So
I
So
still
then
don't understand the physics of it,
took
but
out some nail clippers.
I'm riveted.
so about a year later, I actually went.
Is it like cutting off a skin tag?
So a year later, I actually got the surgery.
I guess you're not supposed to
and-
do that yourself, which I learned the hard way. Won't stop
What?
bleeding.
So I actually the surgery part was it was actually not too bad apart from the needle going as Jordan said. This obviously wasn't a big long needle. It was like local anesthesia that they had to put right through.
No!
And then
They put a needle in your dick?
no, they had to not like through the pee hole but I'm talking like in the outer
Well, no shit, man.
But like,
Still in the
So-
outer shaft. That's awful.
Yeah.
You just
stab
lost
you.
all of
I'm
your
not
listeners.
okay with any of this.
Yeah, I apologize, guys.
You just...
But I'm trying to
Well,
tell you the
congratulations, Matt.
procedure. So
Well, I'm trying to tell you, Matt, you've given me the opposite of an erection.
a
Right now I
reverse
can feel
erection,
it
that's-
poking at my
Is
diaphragm.
that considered a vagina?
Fuck my life.
So I had the
Yes,
surgery.
I now have an innie.
5-6 days later, I was able to take off the bandage, and now I don't have an erection. I mean, sorry. I mean, now
Now I don't.
I didn't have
an
an erection for a while
Ew,
because
hope you
I was scared. But it took about 2 weeks before I could, feel anything. I will say one thing, like a lot of sensitivity is I mean, that's one thing about having a foreskin. Like you feel fucking everything on it. So like it's.
Yeah, but one of the things you have to think about is you don't want to shorten the time that your sex
absolutely.
lasts.
But
So it's okay.
yeah, it's kind of I mean, sex. I mean, at least I don't know how sex was with it, but
Catch
at least
22.
yeah, absolutely.
Here's-
But that's my story, and I'm sorry it was long, and I apologize. It was very
You
graphic.
have nothing
We'll
to
have to put a
apologize
disclaimer.
for.
Never
Was it-
apologize for
You have
having
nothing-
anything
that
too
was-
long to have to do with your dick.
Yeah.
The one thing
Sure,
I will
facts,
say, I have learned
facts.
that I am really glad that I am circumcised, not for any aesthetic reason, but because I'm a child and I know what docking is. I would have put that shit on a girlfriend's nose and been like, "You're an anteater," like years ago. Like,
People do it. The guys who do, yeah, they do that because I can vouch for that. People who are uncircumcised like to do
Oh,
that.
I
I
would-
think it's hilarious.
I would make it look like a
Whoa,
worm
here she
eating things
comes.
all the time.
Watch out, boy. She'll
I gotta
chew
say,
you up.
I
She's
know a
an
lot of girls that
anteater.
will not have sex with someone who is uncircumcised. They just won't do it. They'll be like, okay, yeah, I was gonna, and then like I kind of went down on him, found out he was uncircumcised, and realized I
It
wasn't
should
gonna
be a
fuck him.
blanket rule for girls for all guys. Just don't look at it. Just don't look at
It's
it.
not
I
a
did
look
get a lot
thing.
of confidence after that.
It's
though.
not a
I mean,
look
it
thing.
It did help with a confidence. 'Cause, I mean, really, at times when it's at its normal state, it does kind of look like a microwaved Italian sausage. It literally
should have
does.
nicknamed
it's
your
fucking
dick-
gross.
You should have nicknamed your dick the Glasgow Smile because you're from Scotland and it makes women smile. Just be like, "Hey,
I
baby,
will
it's
say
the
one thing.
Glasgow Smile."
That was like
That was
because I
a-
was
that was
born in like
British.
the
My
mid
God.
'80s.
Scottish.
By the late '80s, they started circumcising a lot more.
When were you born?
85.
Okay.
Over in Britain, they started doing
fair.
it because it is more clean. I mean,
Yeah.
one of the problems when you have a foreskin, like, I mean, it was tough to clean it at times.
Yikes.
All right
Yeah.
then. So listen to our stories, and then we are wrapping it up. Unlike Matt, so, 'cause, right? He had that problem.
Unlike most of us, I rap it the least, and I'm the only one without kids. And Matt,
that you know of.
yeah,
Ha.
some people
So,
fell downstairs.
I
This is why you get a vasectomy, guys.
This is why I got one.
I mean, they shouldn't call it a vasectomy. They should call it a vasectomy. Because I didn't do it for me. I did it for the good of mankind.
They should call it a savings account.
Sarge has a couple of stories from listeners, and so he is going to.
Yes,
take it away
I
from
do.
here. So Sarge, go ahead.
Okay. All right. So, I reached out to some of our listeners on Twitter. And by listeners, I mean people who know me and not actually people who listen to the podcast, but that's fine. So the first one is at Funny Hicks. That's FUNNYHIX. And
Jordan just got fired.
Mm-hmm. Sorry.
All right. So the first story is from at Funny Hicks. That's FUNNYHIX. And she writes, for my girlfriend's 40th birthday party, we got tickets to a local baseball game. I'm assuming that means like a AAA team or whatever. Yeah. So it was superhero night. We all dressed up accordingly, got a room downtown and within walking distance to the field. I brought booze to mix drinks before the game and to save money and time. I'm a terrible lightweight. I had 2 drinks before we left, and then Wonder Woman. She's not naming names, so you're just going to have to go by superhero character here. Wonder Woman bought me a drink when we got there, so now I had a mixed beer with hard stuff. I was mixing beer with hard stuff, excuse me. I haven't eaten. Pretty much a disaster written all over it. We got our picks taken with Captain America and Batman. Made it through the game, no idea who played or who won. We walked to a local bar, and then we were pretty much... they pretty much looked at me and refused to serve me. Then they did offer water. This is where it all starts going wrong. I found a bathroom and it was all over. I started throwing up and pretty much never stopped. Wonder Woman and Batgirl wanted to go clubbing while I was hugging the porcelain. I told them to go on without me. Go on without me. Leave me here. I'm just going to slow you down. I walked several blocks back to the hotel, intermittently vomiting along the way. No idea how I found our room, but I promptly passed out. However, I had to work the next day where the vomiting continued. I threw up in the hallway, in the bathroom multiple times, and finally, around 11:30 a.m., laid down on the floor of a vacant office in hopes that the nap would make the spin stop. My work wife won't let me forget the incident, but I love her dearly. So I thought that was pretty funny, especially because she just laid down in a vacant office. Can you imagine being the janitor that day? Like, you open the door and you're like,
oh,
jackpot.
Jesus.
What in God's name happened here?
All right. So this next one is from another friend of mine. It's at ADD or AD Diane. So ADDIANNE. This one, she's a former veteran, so this one's going to be excellent. I used to be in the Air Force, and my job was 99% male, so I worked daily at earning my respect of my coworkers. It wasn't easy, but one time I was able to earn their respect without even trying. I was temporarily on a duty assignment at AFCOMAC, a school for playing war. And we were all celebrating, drinking our final night before our war exercise started the next day. I was the only girl in the group, but back then I was really good at proving I could drink anyone under the table. That night was no exception. We drank till dawn, and someone shuffled into work somehow shuffled into work at 7 a.m. the next day. I was in really bad shape. The whole bus ride to work, this is so good. The whole bus ride to work, I was holding in my poop that was threatening to explode, and my puke that was threatening to explode from the other end.
Holding both ends. Yep, I know that feeling.
When I got to my shop, which is a military term for, especially Air Force term for like where they worked, I made a beeline to the tiny single bathroom in this tiny outbuilding where I worked with 9 other guys. I barely made it in the door before I was on my knees puking in the toilet. But as soon as I was done puking, I had to quickly get my butt up on the toilet to catch the explosion going from there.
Oh, food poisoning.
It was very much like the scene from Dumb and Dumber when Harry was trapped in the bathroom after being fed laxative. The noise were identical, but thankfully the toilet worked. That was another thing. No matter how many times I flushed, the smell seemed to have its own mass. It was so pungent you actually expected to see the smell floating in clouds around me. So 45 minutes go by, and by this time, some of the guys are yelling through the door because they're hungover too and needed the bathroom. But I didn't ever want to leave because I didn't want my coworkers to experience the smell in there. Seeing the clumps of my poop clinging to the side of the toilet bowl, the vomit
Fish
crusted
flakes.
around my nostrils. How was I to be taken seriously if they saw this? I finally emerged from the bathroom, ready for the disgust and outrage of whatever the reaction may be. When I came back into the office, there was silence. Then I heard someone clapping, and suddenly everyone was clapping. I was getting a round of applause. Unbelievable.
Oh God.
Oh my
God
god.
bless America.
That's those moments when you're using the toilet and it feels like oatmeal that was made too watery.
There was this one
What was
time where I was
that?
extremely hungover before I went to work. And I went to work, and you know how you just have the urgency and you got to poop. So I ran into the bathroom to go to the bathroom, and I was going, and someone knocked on the door, and I guess the smell was bad enough where someone was like, "Are you okay?"
Aw.
Yeah, I got sent home that day, which was a bonus for me, but
rot gut. Got
yeah.
that rot gut going on.
long term, I'm sure it hurt my reputation. But yeah, great story. So thank you, AD Diane.
Old
and at
Sergeant
Funny Hicks.
Gas Chamber over here.
All right.
No.
So anyway, for
He
me,
didn't
that is.
pardon anyone from that smell.
I'm just gonna let you
Schindler's
guys
List
say.
joke.
Oh God, I'm just gonna let you guys say
pardon
your own
you.
Twitter handle so I don't fuck it up. I am at Bastard Prophet. Jordan is at Muse Knuckle. Jesse is at.
The Jesse Miles.
Jen is at.
Jennifer824. Fuck yourself.
Matt is
No,
at.
I meant.
He was insulting me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, you interrupted me though, so you know.
That's longer than 20 characters.
Matt is at. Fuck it. And Maynard is at.
MEYNERHD.
All right. Well, that's the end of our episode. Jesse?
You're welcome, and we're sorry.